Welcome to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez. Bringing us in this fine Monday is Jake and Elwood Blues, the opening from the Blues Brothers. Love it. Joining us on today's show is Mr. Joe Urban from Straightline Landscaping. What's up, Joe?
Not much. How about you?
Good. I'm glad to have you back. Last time you were on the show, we really did not get a chance to hit a lot of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. So now we're going to get a chance to do that and kind of go in a little bit more detail, especially with the fall coming up. If our guests have, let me redo this again. If it's Monday, starting it out. If anybody has any questions regarding our guests or for our guests or the show, please feel free to reach out and text us at area code 708-964-5500, and we will get you the answers to any questions you may have. Now, see, it's Monday. You could tell that when I'm fumbling and bumbling. So
that makes two of us.
Well, you know what? It brings a little fun and lightheartedness to the show. So I wanted to talk about a little bit this week because this past week, I posted a question on social media which got a significant response. The question was, should service companies background check their technicians? There was a lot of responses, but before I get to them, Joe, what would be your opinion on that?
My opinion on that would be, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
However, with small businesses, it could potentially be cost prohibitive.
Okay. Now, as far as when you say that cost prohibitive, what would you say is the, meaning by that? I mean,
well, what I mean by that is, nowadays, at least in, I'm going to say landscape industry, there's a lot of turnover.
Okay.
We do our darndest to try and keep good personnel on staff and everything like that. But, sometimes you'll get a cluster of a group of laborers that they just kind of like hop from company to company to company.
Right.
And if you're always kind of doing a background check, if you're, going through a guy every month or something, it can be cost prohibitive is what I would think.
So if you're getting somebody, I guess this is more or less going towards people going into the homes. And if they're, I guess, laborers outside and doing some, I don't know if, or if on like a big construction site, things like that would be something that falls into that. But I mean, that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think definitely if you have somebody, a contractor coming into your house, I think it would be a good idea that company is doing background checks. But I also tend to believe that the outside is an extension of your home.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. And that's one of the reasons why I pulled it up, because I got a lot of responses. There was I got from a Rose, she said yes. Pam said yes. Janine said yes. And then there was a Betsy who says, why is this even a question? Seems pretty obvious. And, well, I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, because a lot of companies don't do it. And there was a Jesse who said yes. Bob said yes. Bob is on the other side of the river. We have our little rivalry. I'm not going to say his last name, but he knows if he's listening. Gentleman said always. And there was a woman said Phyllis who said yes, they are entering your home, just like you said. And I want to see if I can get Evan's opinion on that, see if Evan wants to weigh in on that, if he has an idea, either plus or minus on that. Evan, what would you think? What's your idea? Should service companies be background check their technicians that are coming to your house?
I'm going to be honest. If I found out there was a company that didn't, I wouldn't use their services.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've had family members who have had personal experience dealing with issues with that.
Okay,
and just knowing what they went through, and not just the hassle during the time, but afterwards.
Okay.
What took place, to me, it's just a no-brainer. It's a question we ask when we're talking about hiring a company.
Right.
And we've had to say to a company that said no, we had to say, well, sorry, we can't use you moving forward.
Well, honestly, yeah. With us, we're sending somebody in the house, and thank you, Evan, for weighing in on that. I appreciate that, my friend. Honestly, we do that. We, make sure we drug test, make sure we, check out the people we're hiring, and to make sure that they're, we're sending somebody in the house and want to make sure that they don't have any issues on that. But you're also, you don't want to, I guess that could be a touchy subject too on certain things. But again, okay. So, again, okay, what,
Well, and we talked about this, prior to the show, something could happen in somebody's individual life that all of a sudden changes that. So it's not necessarily a guarantee. Okay. I think it's a positive step. I think it's, like kind of like a safety net, maybe.
Okay. Well, we've got a caller that is calling in. It's Frankie from CC Hills, Country Club Hills. Frankie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Frankie, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Steve.
Good. I put out that question. And should service companies background check their technicians? And everyone said yes, undoubtedly yes. But you came and had a different perspective on it, and I like that. And I wanted to listeners to hear, the perspective that you came on that.
Yeah, I'm not saying background checks are a bad idea. I totally agree with them, but I think companies should be doing a little bit more. And screening their employees, especially with people who, going through tough problems in their lives, and they just really need somebody to talk to, because a background check is not going to tell me that this person is having problems at home or is dealing with some mental issues, and then all of a sudden, they can flip on you out of nowhere. How's the company going to guarantee that this person who's working in my house is not going to go postal on me and my family? I mean, just this past weekend, yesterday, city employee kills her son. And I'm sure they have to go through all types of background checks just to get hired. And over a memory card, or, some kind of memory card that he took out of a vehicle. And she just flipped and killed this kid. And, how are companies going to guarantee that the person who's coming into my home is not going to do that? You never know. A background check is not going to test that. They may have 30 years of employment with this company, or working, and they don't have anything in their background, and they're all standing citizens, and then all of a sudden something triggers in them, and then that's it. There's no guarantee.
No. There's really. I think we can all agree that there's no guarantees in life. I mean, that's one thing that's for certain. But the thing is I think that is, if you can take steps to look for things that can prevent any kind of, or protect as much as you can, humanly possible as a company, like a background check, like things like that. I think that you have a responsibility to your clients, if they're going into the house, to make sure that they're checked out. But on the other hand, like you say, and you're not wrong, is you can't stop somebody from just having issues, or you don't know what else is involved in there. And I don't think anybody really knows you're not. But but on the other hand, there have been companies that have had employees that are, maybe have shown signs of aggression or signs of being a little bit more hostile, that if you know that and you have that, you may, and you knowingly send them out to, in the field, that could be something that, in other words, if there's warning signs, obviously,
the company should be helping those that they see those warning signs. And I don't know if mental therapy is a thing. Just having somebody to talk to, one-on-one, and seeing what this person is going through may help a situation out.
Right.
From being worse.
And with mental health being, really taken a focus, in recent months. I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on, because you brought a different counterpoint. It's easy to say, well, yes, that's it, and no, that's it. Joe, did you want to?
Well, I mean, I've been in business 28 years.
Okay,
so I've had my share of working side by side with employees and having my share of employees, and he has a good point. However, sometimes it's difficult because you have employees that don't want to open up. They're very private. They're very quiet. all of our employees, they show up to our shop every day, so we get to put eyes on them. And if you see somebody maybe that something seems off, you could like pull them aside and just check with them.
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, I've also had guys that have been tight-lipped, and you don't know anything's going on until all of a sudden, boom, something blows up, and there it is. They, for us, we've never had any bad things. But they stopped showing up or something like that.
Right. Makes sense. Well, I mean, like I said, that's why I brought it up, because I wanted to, because it is a question that is out there regarding, when you're hiring somebody, it's, safety is always priority. It's about always, you want to get the best people, but you always want to make sure whoever's in your home is safe from when people are coming into your house. So having information, or having that information and making sure that you can take whatever precautions you can, to protect. I think that's, the best way possible. And, Frankie, your idea or your other opinion, I would say, of it is, your point, I should say, is very important as well. It's like, I was thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, you're right. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going on in somebody's mind. And I don't think you'll ever know. I think that's the tough part. So,
yeah.
So I appreciate it. Well, Frankie, I want to thank you for, calling in and giving us your opinion. And, it's always, I'm glad that you're a listener to the show. And, I look forward to, if you have any service calls at your humble abode, that, you'll be giving us a call.
Most definitely. Thank you, Steve, for having me on.
No problem. Thank you, sir. I appreciate always great talking to you. So. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be discussing Straightline Landscaping with Joe.
Thanks.
Welcome back. Your dreams were
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, with RJ Graham Plumbing, and we got a lot of little talking. We were talking on the break about this. It's an interesting talking point about background checks on it, and so it's a very interesting thing. And just have you know that RJ Graham Plumbing, we drug test and background check our employees. And Joe, you take care of that by you?
We do a background check.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Just want to, before we get into discussing Joe and Straightline Landscaping and all the good things that he does, I want to let everybody know to tune into the Rock and Roll Diner on 95.9 The River, where the featured restaurant this week is Girl in the Park, located in Orland Park. Listen for your chance to win every day between 12 and 1 to win a $25 gift card sponsored by us, RJ Graham Plumbing. Have you ever been to the Girl in the Park in Orland Park, Joe?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good restaurant. Been there a couple times. Also, tune into 95.9 The River Friday afternoons during the 5 o'clock hour, where the legendary Mitch Michaels will be cruising into the weekend with a cool prize for a lucky listener, sponsored by RJ Graham Plumbing. And we are also proud to once again be the kickoff sponsor for WJOL's high school football game of the week. Congratulations to Wilmington, winner of Friday's game of a 10-7 victory over Coal City. And this weekend, JCA hosts Providence. So that's going to be kind of cool. So, you watch high school football?
When I was in high school.
My son played football. My daughter was on cheerleading. They went to Lincoln Way East High School. And very busy nights. Very busy. They are just, football is a extracurricular activity that really, it takes up a lot of time. Football and cheerleading. They're just, those athletes really put the time in.
Yeah.
So, all the football players from all schools and cheerleaders that it's really become almost a full-time thing. They start in right around August, and they keep going until, I think even the conditioning still goes all year.
If I remember right from like that type of stuff, they were going to, they'd start, I think they had a summer program that they kind of would get into, and then school started and they started going into full-time practices.
I went to Chicago Public Schools, where basically you started in August and it ended when it ended. And, in school, it wasn't really a big thing as, it is out here in the suburbs. So, but went to Bogan High School. So on the south side, 79th and Pulaski.
I went to Stagg High School over in Palos Hills.
Oh, okay. My brother went to Stagg. So tell us about Straightline Landscaping. And I know if the audience remembers, you were here before, and we talked about a lot of different things for spring.
Yeah.
But now we're getting into fall. So what should homeowners be doing to prepare for the fall?
Well, we're getting into the fall time where right now we're getting a lot of phone calls on core aerations.
Okay.
That's where the a machine will take cores out of the ground. They're about a half inch to 3/4 in diameter, about 2 inches long or so. And that helps out with breaking up soil compaction. It helps out with allowing fertilizer and water to get down into the root zones better. Okay. Stirs up some microorganisms, which will help cut down on thatch, which brings us into then overseeding, which is like right now, it's a big time to do overseeding. Is from September 1 to October 1 is the ideal time to be doing overseeding.
Okay. You know what's funny is I was talking to someone that's an exterminator last weekend, and the way they were explaining it, and there's a method to in the point I'm getting with. So they were explaining what they do, and they went into the science of the biological science of finding out what type of species they were dealing with and what it takes to resolve the problem. And I'm smiling, so I'm like, good, you're getting to the science behind it. See, a lot of people think that, well, you just spray for bugs. I just solder a pipe.
Yeah.
You just cut grass.
Yeah.
But it's like we don't jest. You know what I mean?
That's the basic mentality of everything.
Yeah.
Like you're completely right on the exterminator. And the same thing with us with pests in the landscaping. You want to know what you're dealing with. You want to know what's causing the damage or what is going to, so that you know what chemical to use, so that we're not putting just any chemical out there. Right. We're trying to treat it at the right time so we get the proper life cycle of the whether it be a disease or insect, so that we're not just, once again, wasting people's money with thrown out chemicals.
Right. It's this. There's a science behind it. You have to know what you're doing in order to effectively get the customer the resolution that they seek.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. That's why the reason why I brought that up is like you're talking about what you're doing to prepare with core aeration and overseeding. You're getting ready to prepare this lawn for next year.
Yeah.
For a growing season.
Yes.
And to lie dormant. It's like, and it's just I guess it frustrates me when it's like, well, they're jest. It's like, no, we're not jest. There's a reason why, and that's why we're professionals, and you get people that are professionals in what they do, and that's why I wanted to have you on here, because you're a professional at what you do, and like I said, you're going to go into a lot more stuff that you do, which is really cool. And
and one of the things like a lot of people don't really know is that we have to be licensed by the state in order to apply fertilizers and chemicals to the grounds. The same like Roundup. If you go to Home Depot and you go get Roundup to go spray in your, flower beds to kill weeds, that's hunky dory. However, we have to be licensed to use that exact same chemical.
Why is that?
State law.
Really?
EPA. Yeah.
I would think with fertilizers, because sometimes fertilizers, the chemical makeup could be used for other than fertilizer. I watch a lot of action movies.
Yeah.
So
but it's a lot of the stuff that you can go and get in your, hardware stores or big box stores. It's okay for a homeowner to put it down, but for us, we have to be licensed to put it down. Right. And usually it's the homeowner though that is putting it down incorrectly, because it's that. A little bit more is better. And,
no.
That's not necessarily the case.
No, not at all. Well, I run into that with sump pumps. We'll get, people who, I put this sump pump in here. Well, I want a 1 horsepower pump. Okay. Do you have any idea how much a 1 horsepower pump pumps? No. Well, I got a lot of water. Okay. Do you know how much water's coming into your pit? Well, it looks like a lot. How big is your pit? Okay. How big is the discharge? Well, it's standard. Okay. Well, it's basically that you can you get more horsepower or just keep dumping on there, but it's almost like having a Porsche and you can only drive through school zones.
Yeah.
It really does. You want to get the right product for the right application so it works right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can spend money you don't need to spend. You can damage things, or you can probably hurt yourself and things around you. So, I mean, you have to use everything in its proper application.
Correct.
So, now you were saying that now overseeding. What exactly is the overseeding?
So typically, overseeding is where we're putting down new grass seed on top of the ground to get that to germinate and grow, to thicken up lawns, make it healthier, maybe introduce new types of grass to a lawn that's maybe more disease resistant, more drought tolerant, something like that.
Okay.
So typically when we're doing that, we will core aerate a lawn in 3 directions. Once again, it's like everybody else. They've got their ways of doing stuff, but a lot of companies might just do one direction. We'll do 3.
Okay.
The more little holes that we get into the ground, the better off it is. It's more spaces for that seed to drop into. Breaks up like I said, the soil compaction, gives a little shelter for the new seeds to sit in there. So and then we'll put down that grass seed and we'll blanket an area and give it a nice even coverage. And it'll take about anywhere, depending on the type of grass seed, anywhere from a week to almost 3.5 weeks to germinate and grow.
Okay. I got a question for you. My mother brought this up to me, and it really frustrated her because she was trying to grow grass. She lives in Oak Lawn, and she really doesn't have a big lot. I mean, the front of her house is probably maybe 30 by, I want to say 20, the front of her house. She could not get any grass to grow there, nothing to grow. And she had called other landscapers. They wanted to dig out about almost a foot down of the soil, and they wanted to take that away and replace it with new soil and then plant seed or whatever they were going to do. And she's like, and it was kind of expensive to do that. Maybe it wasn't a foot down. Maybe it was, they were going to take some dirt away to do that. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. So, I mean, I can't say, well, hey, this is right or this is wrong. And when I told her that I was going to have you on, she goes, could you ask him? I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do my best considering you're not there to see it. You don't know what all the variables that are in it. But, I mean, have you run into applications like that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times we'll get people who will call in the office and they'll say, hey, I put some grass seed down, especially in the springtime. Hey, I put grass seed down in the spring. It's not growing. Why is that going on?
Okay.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is when they're having their fertilizer company or they're putting it down themselves, and they're usually the first application of the season is a crabgrass preventer. And so that crabgrass preventer does not really distinguish between good grass seed and bad grass seed.
Okay.
So if, let's just say she did this in the springtime and then the fertilizer company came through and they put down their product and it prevented crabgrass to grow, it's also going to prevent her grass seed that she just put down from growing.
I would have to ask her that.
That would be my first.
We'll see if she sends me a text message because she usually texts me during the show. So, but that would make sense. I mean, that, like, again, knowing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it's an area that was highly shaded, that could be another issue.
It is highly shaded. It is. It is. It's got a huge tree in front of our house.
Yeah.
So it is highly shaded.
So, highly shaded areas, I always tell people that's one of the hardest spots to actually grow grass seed because realistically, grass is a full sun type of plant.
Okay.
So when we're doing overseedings and stuff like that, I'll tell people if we're in a shady area, realistically, 40% of that grass seed that we put down will actually grow and stay. Mm-hmm. We will lose, some will germinate, but we'll usually lose about 60% just over time because it's not really, it's like a harder environment for it to grow in.
So what would happen in that application? Say it is a shaded area, and is there anything that you do that they can grow grass there? Because the reason why I ask is because you see these products that say, oh, this is shady area grass seed, and you can put this down.
You know what? I remember 20 years ago there was a sod farm out there, and they were advertising that this sod was for shady areas. I'm like, great, I got a client, and we put it down, and it didn't do well.
No.
And at that point, you got to stand behind your product and you got to figure out a solution and whatever else.
Right. First and last time you used that product, I take it?
That was the last time I ever used that sod, But, like I said, in her situation, I would just, tell her to be patient. Mm-hmm. If she's, if she definitely wants grass, be patient. It's going to be a couple-year process for her to do it this way.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would start suggesting other things, like maybe extend the landscape bed out into that area so that it was, and maybe use shade plants.
Okay. Oh, that might be a good idea too. Yeah, she was just getting so frustrated. She says they wanted to charge me outrageous amount. I was like, I don't know. And the thing is, again, that's why you get people who know what they're doing, and you ask them.
And there's another thing too. A real simple thing that she could do is have a soil test done.
Yeah.
She could just dig up, like 3-4 spots in that area, put it in a baggie, shake it all up, and she can usually take it like an extension service, and or even a garden center. They'll send it off and do it. Sometimes there's a small fee to it, but there's a form you'll fill out. Hey, I'm trying to grow grass. Here's the growing conditions, and there might even just be something in the soil that is preventing it too from growing.
See, that's I never knew that. I'll be honest with you, I never knew that. See, that's why, like I said, you have people think this is just cutting grass, or I'm just planting plants.
Well, there's a chemical out there that actually is like to sterilize the soil so nothing will grow for a good 8-9 months.
Did you hear the story? Speaking of that, did you hear the story about the one guy who I think he cheated on his girlfriend or whatever, and she got back at him. And what she did was she went and got a sprayer and filled it with Roundup. And she wrote on the front lawn, basically what she felt about him. So the grass died and left basically everybody to know what she thought of him.
Uh-huh. And then usually the fun part about that is it doesn't just go away.
No.
Because you usually have to resod it, and you usually get a different shade of color there.
So you got the shape of the new sod basically in the same, how she felt.
Yep. I have heard stories of that.
Well, you know what? My hat's off to that young lady. You know what? God bless you. And that young man should probably have just left her alone.
Yeah.
You don't do that to people. So now let's get to the... See, I like getting a lot of information on here because you know what? There's a science behind everything. There is a reason and a method to the madness behind it. And some people aren't students of their trade to learn all the little things behind it to be better, to be the best out there. And when you are studying what you're doing to be the best out there, it makes you better. I think I feel it does.
Oh yeah. I'll give you an example, like I was telling you with the whole fertilizer licensing and all that stuff. Pre-COVID, the state would have a class. It's usually about a 2-day class that they would put on. And now I've been doing this 28 years. I've been licensed with my fertilizer license for 28 years. And every 3 years I have to go get it renewed.
Okay.
And every 3 years I go sit in the class. I go sit in all the classes because every time I go, I always learn something new or something changes. So it's, it's an ongoing thing. Education is always an ongoing thing.
Oh, absolutely. With plumbers, it's and I'm getting a text from my mother on it, and he goes, "Why can't they just tell you what's wrong with your grass? They tell me it could be this or that, but they don't know what it is." She said I had to put sod down twice.
Sod down twice. At that point I would tell you it's either something in the soil or it's just that it's too shady.
Yeah.
Like I said, now think about this with sod.
Right.
It's grown in a big, huge field.
Yes.
There's no shade whatsoever.
Right.
And now she's taking that and they're cutting it up and they're putting it on a little pallet. They deliver it to the place and they bring it to her house and they put it down. And now it's there's no sun. It's a shock to the plant.
Yeah. And it is shady. Mom, you live in a shady area. You need to move.
Hostas and Pachysandra are your friend.
All right, so I answered the question. See, now I'm going to get a good Christmas gift because my mom's going to. I'm number one. I'm the number one child now. There's 3 of us, so I'm going to be number 1. So I like that. Now, let's. I wanted to ask you. Now, you were talking about before I get to the outdoor landscape and living spaces that you. It's also what you do. I mean, you do a lot of other things. As far as plumbing, we do continuing education as well. To renew our license. So you have to continue to learn about some of the new products because the industry is evolving. In your industry, to maintain a to be competitive and to be up to date, you have to continue your education.
Yeah.
And again, that's a way to be better. If you think you know everything, you're already done.
Yes.
Because you're already behind.
Yeah. If you give up and if you think you know all the stuff, even plants. I mean, they're always coming out with new plants for us.
Yeah.
I'll just like hydrangeas. Used to be hydrangeas were primarily grown in partially shady areas. Now they've come out with hydrangeas that are tolerant to full sun.
Wow.
So it's constantly, they're always messing around with somebody's always messing around with something.
Wow.
And it's always changing.
We have faucets, how far they've come. We have just certain fixtures, how far you don't even have to touch your.
Well, I was going to say, you've seen that one where that's like, wave your hands, the magic under the faucet thing.
Oh, we've installed a couple of those. The ones by Delta are really nice. It's the Touch 2.0, really nice. The Moen one is a little bit different. That one's sensor. The other one, the Moen, is touch. You could touch it with the back of your hand and everything. And that one I like a little bit better because you could touch it, especially if you cook a lot. You touch it with the back of your hand. You don't have to touch the handle and get whatever you have on your hands on it. You can wash your hands. The Moen has a sensor. That kind of concerns me because if you just kind of move by it or put a pan in there, it kicks on. And that could, kind of.
Well, I mean, we've all been to the public restrooms with the sensors, and you're sitting there and you're making all kinds of shapes and whatever else, and it ain't turning it on, and you're kind of, at a certain point, you kind of like, I feel like an idiot here.
Because you're stepping outside looking at yourself going, wow, look at this fool just, waving his hands around underneath the sink. And you realize that it has a handle on it to turn on. You didn't do that, did you?
No.
Okay, I'm the only one. So, all right. So we talk about outdoor landscape. A lot of people during the pandemic have decided to go to outdoor living space, basically to make their home like a staycation.
Yes.
With pools, really made the outdoor area an extension of the home. So we're going to take a quick break, and then what we'll do is we'll see what Straightline does as far as that.
Sounds good.
AOL. Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back to the Prepared to Repair Show. I'm your host, Steve Suarez. And with me is Joe Urban with Straightline Landscaping. And I want to hear, we talked about some plants and we talked about what you're doing for fall. And I like that song. And so I know you're full service. You do a lot of different things. So, and like I said, before the break, we were talking about, people are staying home. They're, they bought pools. You're lucky enough to get one.
Yeah.
But they also, they made the home or the yard an extension. Really nice fireplaces, patio pavers, the whole 9 yards. So, what extent does Straightline?
We are full service. So we do everything. So from maintenance to and designs and installations.
Nice.
And I'll throw that out there, including snow plowing.
Okay.
That's another.
Yeah,
one.
we got that on the list too. Yeah.
But yeah, so pre-COVID, outdoor living spaces was pretty big.
Okay.
But COVID hit. Now all of a sudden, people were canceling vacations and everything else, and then they were staying home. Mm-hmm. Places were allowing them to work from home. So people would, go out in their patios to work even. So we saw a big uptick in that. People are wanting not just the patio to go sit out there and eat and barbecue. They want the sitting areas to have the couches and everything else out there. They want fire pits to, and then the obvious outdoor kitchen and, usually the built-in grills type of stuff is real popular.
You can get it pretty elaborate with those.
Oh yeah. As elaborate as you can get inside with your kitchen.
Yeah.
Outdoor is crazy.
I've seen some phenomenal jobs that people have done with that, and especially with the pool areas, kind of just making everything flow together and tying everything together. Really, really nice. And now, what does, I would say, a typical backyard like that, a patio, transformation, where say you had a sitting area and you had a built-in grill, some sort of gazebo overhang. How long does something like that take?
Typically, a project like that is going to take going to say anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks from a starting point.
Okay.
And the more elaborate you get, if you're doing outdoor kitchens, that's even longer. So it considerably more work than I'm going to say like your kitchen. Kitchen, usually they're coming in with the cabinets and they're mounting them and the counters and it goes pretty quick. I'm not a kitchen installer, but I would imagine most kitchens are probably done within a week.
It depends.
Okay, and like I said, I'm not a kitchen installer, but from a landscape perspective, we're at least 2 to 4 weeks on some type of outdoor living thing like that. I've seen them go as long as 3 months.
Right, depending on how elaborate you get with them. I mean, I've seen, like I said, they went from relatively simple to having a just very simple but elegant, and it's just really beautiful. And, I mean, have you had any trouble getting as far as materials for projects like these?
Yeah, materials have kind of become an issue. The supply chains slowed up quite a bit, paver bricks, it used to be just like, when we would talk to a client, it's, what do you want? Tell me what kind of brick you like as far as a style. I wouldn't even talk to them about colors or anything like that. Now it's a little harder to get certain styles and getting some of that hardscape material in, even plants.
Right.
Nurseries are taking a little bit longer to get the stuff dug, or just the simple labor aspect of they don't have enough help to get it all dug. I think like today we were talking in the office, we put in an order for just a few bushes that we needed for a client, and we won't probably get them at least till the end of the week. And that's just for like 4 bushes.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people are having trouble with labor. That's all across the board. Now, if people were looking, they're like, well, I want to get on the schedule to do because they're thinking about doing the patio and they're doing the outdoor area, and they're thinking about going in that direction. Well, I guess right now, if you're thinking about it, you're already too late. So
mostly,
right.
I mean, there's still, and it's not just, I mean, we still have openings here and there in our schedule. I know other contractors have openings too, but they're starting to get to the end of the season, right. And who knows when winter's going to hit, because that's another aspect that we got to take into consideration,
right?
And getting materials. So it might be kind of a tight one, especially if it's a large project,
right.
to squeeze in this year.
But they can get on a schedule to do it for next year.
I would tell people right now, like, if you want it done, get on the schedule now. Set it up with your contractor to get on their schedule, get on their books, say, hey, I want to be like beginning of the season as soon as the weather breaks type of thing, Even for me, I've worked it out with suppliers before in the past where I can lock in the pricing.
Yes.
Where I can say, hey, I got this order, that wants to start in springtime. Will you kind of help me out and lock me in on pricing? And my suppliers have been really good on doing that. So it helps out, the clients. So like next year when that,
right.
5-6% increase hits on materials, they're not necessarily feeling that.
Yeah, that works out. I was thinking about that because I was, like we were talking before, is if you decide in the springtime you want your patio, you're already too late because everybody else has already thought well ahead of it. Same thing with pools, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think like with landscaping, I mean, I think if you went and called somebody and said, say April, first off, it's going to be a struggle just to get them out there because that's super busy. And then to get it all drawn up and calculated out and priced out and stuff like that, a little bit of time. But, I think you'd get in. I think you'd have it installed by, midsummer, end of summer. Mm-hmm. But once again, now you've kind of lost out on a good amount of the summertime that you're hoping to use that.
Right. You want to get as much of it as you can, so schedule now. So if they want to call you to schedule that, what's the best, how do they reach Straightline Landscape?
A couple different ways they can get a hold of us is our office number is 708-301-8396.
Okay.
And we are there Monday through Friday from 8 till 4:30. They can get a hold of us on our website, which is www.straightlinelandscaping.com, or we also have our Facebook page.
Awesome. Now, you want to talk about, there's something else you do. You also do snow removal.
Yes.
Okay, now.
It's a love-hate relationship.
I can imagine, because I hate snow. But now, for do you just do it for commercial? Do you do it for,
No, we do it for commercial. We do it for multifamily homes, townhomes, condominium complexes, and we also do residential.
Oh, okay. So basically pricing's based on what, I would say what they have, and the area that they're doing.
It generally starts with what type of service are they looking for?
Okay.
For instance, like a lot of our commercial contracts are zero tolerance, which is, any little bit of snow or ice or whatever else hits, they're getting serviced. Okay. They're getting salt put down. They're getting, plow trucks out there. Then there's like 1 inch tolerance. So we get 1 inch of snow, trucks roll out. They're going to come out to your property and get you serviced.
Okay.
Residential, they're usually a 2 inch tolerance.
Okay.
Anything past that, we'll get some calls like, oh, I want it done at 3 or 4 inches. I'm like, we don't even touch that. Too much liability in that.
Really?
Yeah.
So they would have to be larger than more than 4 inches of snow in order to do residential?
We'll get people that'll call us up and go, oh no, just we'll handle everything under 4 inches, but we want you to come out on 4 inches, and there's too much liability. There's the equipment's too expensive to just maybe be servicing a property 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna have you come out and do mine because that snowblower makes me look like what's that guy's name from Frozen?
Olaf.
Olaf, yeah, I look bad. Snow's all in my face. It's like, no, that's not what I do. So, again, how do they reach Straightline Landscaping to schedule? Now you're scheduling for snow removal.
We are scheduling for snow, and snow is like once again that's going to be a big issue too because obviously labor is an issue, but equipment's going to be an issue because I don't know if everybody's heard, but trucks are not being produced anymore. There is a slowdown on trucks and all that other type of stuff. So you want to get on a contractor's route because they fill up, and we only take on so much work onto a route before we say that's it, enough.
Can you save me a spot?
Sure.
Okay, good, because I need a spot. Because like I said, I'm not going to Olaf it again this week. It's not going to happen, man. So I would like to thank the Frankfurt Chamber of Commerce for giving us the opportunity to be part of the Frankfurt Fall Fest parade and last Sunday night's garden entertainment, which featured a great Eagles tribute band one of these nights. Are you an Eagles fan?
Yes.
Yeah. Phenomenal tribute band. Named it one of these nights. They were actually very good. Both of the singers going back and forth, phenomenal. They were just.
I got 3 kids, so I don't get out much.
Okay. Well, we were fortunate enough to be part of it, so we were happy. And I also want to let everybody know, this is kind of cool, that joining us next week, our guest will be Janine Huck from Naws in Mokina. We'll be talking fur babies. You're a pet lover, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad you like animals. And I have 3 dogs myself, and I gotta. You ever see an Irish Wolfhound?
Yes, I have.
Okay, they look at you, no matter where you are. They're eye level. My wife loves this guy. I love him too.
I have one that jumps eye level.
No, this one's pretty big. So, also, don't forget to call RJ Graham Plumbing for all your plumbing needs at area code 708-743-7426 or online at rjgrahamplumbing.com. I want to thank everybody for listening today, and hope you got a lot of information from Mr. Joe Urban from Straightline Landscape. It's good to have you here.
Thank you, Steve.